Welcome back to Horntie Studios for another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder. That means each one of these videos is less than 666 seconds or 11 minutes and 6 seconds. So let's get to it. Got a lot to cover, as always, in a short amount of time. And we're going to talk about that infamous line, "They're going to get you for that." We're going to talk about it. But before we do, remember all my videos are my personal opinions and speculation. I'm not saying anybody's guilty of anything. That's for a court of law to decide. We're just here talking about a case that interests all of us. Now, the Idaho 4 case is full of characters that have some strange backstories, some weak alibis, possible motive, and the means. But that gag order has encouraged the web sleuths out there to dig up what they can, and they've done some amazing work. And we're all witnessing, in my opinion, the demise of that legacy media. They're scrambling to save that sinking ship of theirs. The creators on this platform and others are attracting more and more viewers with perspectives that you're not going to get when you go to those network stations. To some, Jack Showalter is probably the #1 suspicious person involved in this case. I mean, I've read your comments. He has got a shady past, alleged anger issues, lots of money, and lots of connections to people in power. And all of those things make him a highly concerning person to most of us here in this community. Now, we've heard that Maddie's boyfriend asked Jack to keep an eye on her and Kaylee that night. The girls were drunk, and Maddie's boyfriend was out of town, apparently. Now, many have drawn conclusions that Jack Showalter was stalking the girls at the grub truck as the infamous hoodie guy. But if that's true about him being asked to keep an eye on the girls, then I'm not sure if that was the case. I don't think I see that when I look at that video. Now, I did pose a theory that I called the lambs to the slaughter, and I did a video on it. And I speculated that many shady characters in this story may have all played a role in what happened. Check that video out. I'll link to it in the description below. I did toss out the idea that Jack could have been keeping tabs on those girls so that they were accounted for until they eventually got home. Now, of course, I don't know that, but it's only my theory and speculation. But the thing that seems to irk most people about Jack Showalter is that statement he made when he was walking with the girls down the sidewalk from the corner club to the grub truck. It was that short conversation caught on a private business camera at about 1:30 a.m. on 11/13/22. So you hear Maddie, "What did you say to Adam?" From Kaylee, and she sounds a little agitated. And then Maddie responds with, like, "I told Adam everything." And then Jack says something like, "They're going to get you girls for that." That doesn't sound like a harmless remark to me. It sounds like someone is warning them that something bad is about to happen. Then the two of them are deceased like 90 minutes later. So that's why so many people suspect that Jack Showalter may have had something to do with it. I mean, it's just very, very suspicious, right? Now, the likely Adam that they're referring to is, of course, Adam Lauda, who was the bartender there at the corner club. He was working when they left and Adam is the roommate of Jack Decor, the ex-boyfriend of Kaylee. And many have raised issues with Jack Decor, and I have as well, but he's not really part of this conversation, or is he? So what did Maddie tell Adam? Of course, we don't know that, but we can speculate that maybe it had something to do with the breakup of Kaylee and Jack D. Jack D was also at the corner club when they were there. Interesting that Jack's alibi for where he was when those crimes happened was he was home asleep. That's kind of interesting if he's at the corner club at 1:30 a.m. when the girls left. So he must have run out the door, gone home and jumped into bed and been one of those lucky people that can fall asleep when their head hits the pillow. Because if that wasn't the case, then that story's BS. And his roommates have apparently vouched for him. And of course, one of those roommates was Adam, who was there working at the bar, who probably would have got home later than Jack. So lots of questions there. Now, what did Jack Showalter mean when he said they're going to get you? Well, that wouldn't make much sense if the conversation had something to do with the breakup of Kaylee and Jack D. But it would make sense if the context of that, rumor that we've heard that Maddie flushed some product down the toilet and some people really wanted their money. And I mean, I've heard a lot of money, some estimates over 100,000. Of course, that's all rumor. We just don't know. But if that was the case, then that ominous statement about they're going to get you definitely makes me think it was a lot darker than something regarding a breakup. Now, did Jack Showalter know the people who were going to get them? I mean, it's impossible to know because he's, of course, all lawyered up and he's not going to respond to anything. I mean, if my lamps to the slaughter theory is correct, I suspect he may know and have had some idea who they were, or at least that the local contact there was Emma and Demetrius. He would, of course, known them. I suspect the actual hit was done by some mid-level people hired to do a job and show the people involved in drugs in Moscow that they mean business. And I would say they got their point across. Now, the fact the conversation included the mention of Adam Lauda is interesting. Now, I don't know a lot about Adam, aside from the fact he was an athlete and was the cousin of Jack D, apparently. Did Adam have anything to do with the drugs coming into Moscow? We don't know. But it is interesting for his name to come up in that conversation. If we only had more of it, maybe it would give us some clue as to what actually happened here. Just such a strange case. I've heard the stories of Jack Showalter and the things he did with the animals leaving the bodies in front of the other fraternities at the university. That's obviously very disturbing behavior, and he was booted from his fraternity because of it. Plus, the pictures of him with big knives and with game that he's hunted. Now, I'm not against hunting, but we can only assume that the person that did those crimes would have most likely needed to be a person comfortable with that kind of carnage. I mean, most people wouldn't be able to do that. But Jack grew up hunting and was very comfortable with it, obviously. Now, the fact that Brian Kohberger is a strict vegan makes this even less of a crime that he would have done in my eyes. I mean, how would a person who refuses to eat meat or anything made from animals do something as horrific and bloody as this crime? It doesn't make much sense. Jack Showalter also had a weak alibi to account for his time during the time frame of when the crimes happened. He said that he left the grub truck and drove 5 hours to his parents' home in Boise. I've also heard it was the family hunting cabin, but roughly that same distance. If he left like he claimed, he should have been in Boise by like 5 or 6 a.m. So I would assume the police confirmed that, maybe with some video footage of him stopping for gas along the way, or maybe grabbing something to eat. I mean, that's a long drive. Or maybe, at a rest stop to use the restroom. I mean, there's plenty of video out there, and they seem to be good at finding stuff on videos, right? So then we can confirm, when he left and that his story checks out, or would it prove that there were some hours to spare there and maybe there is some suspicion warranted in his case? We don't know. Now, we've heard that the police cleared him through his attorney and that he never actually came in for an interview. I mean, how is that even possible? Attorney or not? When you could have been one of the last to see those two girls alive, not to mention the comment about they're going to get you. I mean, he should have been grilled well and DNA samples taken, shoe impressions, and all of that stuff. But none of that was done as far as I could tell. He was cleared very quickly, and the Moscow PD made sure to mention that in an early press conference. Could the fact that Jack is related to the Idaho Attorney General at the time have anything to do with that? Or maybe that his parents were both doctors and donated lots of money to the University of Idaho? I don't know, but I've always heard follow the money, and it certainly makes you wonder. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. I know you have a lot of things that you like to say about Jack, so go ahead and comment below. Let's see what you got. I do want to say thank you to the member of the Horns High Club. We appreciate your support very much. You guys are awesome. And if you're interested, it's $1.99 if you want to join the club, but you certainly don't have to do that. I appreciate all of you that watch these videos, and we'll see you next time on 666 Seconds of Murder.